Hello, everyone, and we are back live for the 19th episode of Deep Point with GillyCricket. It's been some time since I did this episode, and quite naturally and understandably so, because a lot has been happening. There was the IPL, and we've been so caught up with doing the watch alongs and doing the reviews and everything else that it's been really difficult to find a space for this show. And today we had some time because at cricket.com we are not doing the watch along for today's game. We will be doing a review, and these days we are also doing a Hindi review for a few games alternatively. So please do tune in if you are more comfortable watching those reviews and previews. So today's episode of Deep Point with Gilly Cricket is about captaincy in IPL, because what happens in the IPL also affects Indian cricket in a very in a very important capacity, because I know people talk about not mixing formats, but we have seen that happen. And usually, if you do well in the IPL as a captain, your name is then propped up to be the next Indian captain in the T20 format and probably in other formats. So there's that. Exploit is there, and he says, like the color of your turban. Thank you so much. Always love it when someone gives me a compliment for my turban. Uh, it's a few things that I really look forward to, and I really pick my turbans very carefully, and give it a lot of attention and detail whenever I'm wearing one. So thank you so much. But yeah, so for starters, I feel in this IPL there hasn't been a standout great captain, because I believe that all captains, regardless of which team do they belong to, have made mistakes. Uh, Even someone like MS Dhoni, and he's made those mistakes which you rarely associate with him. A classic example about his a classic example on about his mistakes in captaincy would be the game versus Punjab, where despite having an over of Jadeja left, and knowing that Livingston is more comfortable versus pace, he went to Tushar Deshpande, who then went for 22-24 runs, and it led to change in the momentum, and really brought back Punjab in the chase. And he's not been bowling out Jadeja before the death overs. He's been giving him one over, sometimes 16th over, sometimes it's the 17th. So even he has made mistakes. And so has I believe Rohit, so has I believe Shikhar Dhawan, so has Hardik Pandya, KL Rahul. I mean, you name the captain, and I can talk about the mistakes that they've made. So there's that. uh, Vasant Narayan saying, please talk about Ishan Kishan selection. So the update is that Ishan Kishan has been named as a replacement for KL Rahul in the WTC final. And Jaydev Unadkat is not yet ruled out, and Umesh Yadav has started low intensity bowling as a part of his rehab. So these are the updates. So yeah, there's that. And see, there's not a lot to talk about his selection, because they've clearly gone. I don't think he's going to play. I just think he's back up. Shubman Gill now opens with Rohit Sharma at the top of the order. Virat Kohli bats number 4, Chetesh Pujara bats number 3, Ajinkya Rahane bats number 5. Then there's Ravindra Jadeja at 6 and KS Bharat at 7. So it's pretty straightforward for me. I don't think Ishan Kishan is going to play, but yeah, they needed to have someone as a backup keeper in case there's an injury during the game. But yeah, that's about it. So so yeah, going back to the discussion that we were having, I'm actually looking forward to taking a few comments and questions from you guys as well. Going back to the questions that the discussion we were about to have, which is about the captaincy in this IPL. uh, I feel a lot of captains have just resorted to doing template captaincy, whether it is Rohit Sharma or whether it is Shikhar Dhawan. I felt that Shikhar Dhawan being ruled out due to injury for those 2-3 games turned out to be a blessing in disguise for Punjab, because Sam Curran rarely led them well. My issue with Shikhar Dhawan's captaincy has been that, if I take example of that Lucknow game, at Mohali, he wanted to save overs of Arshdeep and Sam Curran and Rabada for the end, because from the end of the power play till the 14th over, Lucknow had already scored 101 runs in 8 overs. So you cannot save your bowlers for the death overs when the opposition is going at great guns and scoring at 11 or 12 runs per over. That is, those are the death overs, right? Death overs aren't necessarily those overs where, where bowlers are being you know uh, uh, death overs aren't necessarily those overs which are the last 5 overs. They are those overs where you know that the opposition is after you. They are looking to score runs at the rate of 11 runs per over, 12 runs per over, 13 runs per over. And when they are going great guns, that is when you have to bring your best bowlers back. And I think Shikhar Dhawan has not done it. And even in Mohali, I felt that even in that game against Chennai at Chepauk, they brought in Harpreet Brar because of the pitch, and they didn't bowl him at all. So quite strange has been the captaincy from Shikhar Dhawan. If I talk about Sanju Samson, uh, the last game has been, quite disappointing in the sense that they didn't. I don't think they learned anything from their mistake, from that defeat at Wankhede versus Mumbai. I don't understand why they've been bowling 3 overs of Sandeep Sharma in the power play when they could actually bowl 2 of his overs in the power play and keep 2 of them for the death, because he's someone who's been nailing his Yorkers quite well. And then not getting your impact sub in straight away, because they had 3 options and they literally waited till the 13th over to bring in one, and then bowl that bowler only 1 over. And they did something similar in Mumbai as well. You have to allow your impact player sub to just get a feel of things, just know what is working on the pitch, and do not really give them the most difficult over straight away. You have to allow them some breathing space, because without that you are somewhere setting up them to fail. Just taking this question, exploit, if you could send in your second comment as well, then I will take it. Raghav is asking, Gurkeet bhai, seems like RCB versus MI is virtually an eliminator. Who has the upper hand at Wankhede? uh, I believe that if I believe if whichever teams bat second has the upper hand, because I think that is one venue which where teams which are better in terms of bowling have a good chance of winning. And I do believe that Bangalore's bowling is better than Mumbai's bowling, because for Mumbai there's only one reliable bowler at this point of time, who's Piyush Chawla. And I think Rohit's usage of his bowlers has also not helped. I mean, I just believe that they want to bowl Cameron Green just because they have paid 16 crores or 17 crores for him, and they want to get the most out of him. To me, it doesn't make sense that Cameron Green is bowling ahead of Jofra Archer or Akash Madhwal or Arshad Khan, when these three are your specialist bowlers in the power play. Especially when you had to defend a low total of 140 that you had to do there in Chepauk. And then Jofra not bowling enough in the power play. In that game versus Punjab, Jofra bowled only 1 over. So you have to give your best bowlers the chance to succeed, so that if they take wickets, you have a greater cushion in the middle overs, and then your inexperienced bowling lineup doesn't come under the hammer like they have in a few games. Because Mumbai have conceded what 200 runs in 4 innings straight. They conceded 200 versus Gujarat. They conceded 200 versus Punjab. They conceded 200 versus Punjab again in Mohali, and then they conceded 200 runs uh, versus Rajasthan. So for 4 innings in a row, they've gone for 200 runs, and that is something which is concerning. That is something which will not help them. So I believe they always can't rely on batting second, and if they have to bat first, then they also need to get some runs from the openers, which is not really happening. So there's that. But yeah, short answer is that I believe RCB have the upper hand at 1 KD. But yeah, if Mumbai win the toss, choose to bowl first, and if they can restrict RCB, then with Surya Kumar Yadav's form, maybe if Tilak Verma comes back, won't be surprised that if Mumbai can also register a win. But it's going to be a great game for sure. Uh, taking exploits question a bit out of context, but I've noticed some bizarre discussions on Twitter regarding Sanju's game against pace, and the point being backed up by raw stats. Jitesh and Pandya rarely get overwhelmed when bowlers hit hard lengths even at 135 plus kmph, while Sanju maintains really good base and hits them for boundaries on the up as smooth as butter. Very good observation. Here's the thing about these. Okay, I'll continue with that comment. People are rating Jitesh and Pandya as better batters of pace than Sanju in the process, which is an astonishing argument drawn out of just raw career stats. Your thoughts? Um, I Anyone who tells me that Hardik Pandya is a better player of pace bowling, especially hard length pace bowling than Sanju Samson, I'm not going to believe them. I mm, even if even because like you said, they are raw career stats. They really don't take into account the latest developments in the games of both the cricketers. I think Hardik Pandya has been struggling against pace, and especially hard lengths into his body, or even or at the fourth stump against pace bowling. He's really been struggling, which is why he's not been able to. He couldn't close out that game versus Delhi, even against away going spin. If the ball is not pitched within the line of the stumps, if it's pitched say around the fourth stump and then turning it away, he's many times finding the fielder at long off rather than clearing that fielder at long off. When he hit Zampa for those runs in that game at Jaipur, Zampa was bowling within the line of stumps. If you are going to bowl away spin to Hardik within the line of stumps, Hardik will take you for boundaries. And if you are going to bowl him away from the line of stumps, then there's a good chance that he slices it up and finds the fielder like he did in that ODI in Chennai versus Australia, the third ODI. So I don't think at this point of time that Hardik is a better hitter than Samson. But yes, Hardik is more consistent, and I do feel that Hardik has more game awareness. That is something that I agree to. Jitesh, I feel again, uh, going by just raw numbers may not be the correct idea, because Jitesh hasn't, at this point of time, Samson has a better reputation. So what opposition tries to do is they bring on their better bowlers when they are bowling to Samson, right? They don't try to get overs out when Samson is batting. With Jitesh, that has been the case sometimes, and he's taken advantage of it to his credit. But again, I don't think that Jitesh is also a better player of pace bowling than Samson. I just feel that Samson needs to work on his game awareness, which I think he has. But I was very disappointed the way he got out in that game versus Gujarat at Jaipur. It's not that he was trying to play a high risk stroke; it's just that he got out, and then uh, there was a string of 5 games where he didn't really do much, and it also included 2 games versus Chennai against a team where he hasn't really had a good record, so that played a part. But yes, I see after in yesterday's inning, Sanju's average now in this IPL is is above 30, and his strike rate is I think around 155. So I just hope that he ends up this IPL with an average of more than 30 plus, because I believe that is something that you need as a batter who's batting in the top three. If he can do that, then he would have had a great season. Vasant Narayan's asking, if you are a captain of MI, knowing your strengths is more of chasing like Team India in 2020s, how will you structure your squad if they have to bat first and defend? Okay, uh, so you have to look at the options that you have. For me, I think the bigger issue what Mumbai what has played Mumbai in the season is that they just want to get the maximum out of Cameron Green just because they have paid enough money for him. In the process, someone like Surya Kumar Yadav is batting at 4 and Tilak Verma is batting at 5. Now you could argue that Surya Kumar Yadav at 4 isn't such a big issue, but Tilak Verma at 5 is an issue, and that move to bat Cameron Green at 3, I think costed them that game versus Punjab in Wankhede, and it would have costed them that game versus Rajasthan as well in Wankhede, because in the last 8 overs they had to score 109 runs. That's a lot. That is 13.5 runs an over. Actually, 1 run more than 13 runs. 13.5 runs an over for 8 overs is 108. So they had to score even 1 run more. So it has costed them a few games. It might have costed them that game in Mohali as well, because Cameron Green was struggling. So I think that the way to structure that squad is now they've moved moved Rohit Sharma out of the opening position. I don't think that it's going to continue for a long time. I just think that from the start, what would have been better is that if they would have played players in their position, and not, if they wanted to play Cameron Green, they should have played him at 5 or 6. But if he's not comfortable batting at 5 or 6, they should have played Christian Stubbs with Tim David at 5, or Christian Stubbs at 5 and Tim David at 6, with Nehal Vadera being there, or you could have moved Christian Stubbs and Tim David to 6 and 7, and Nehal Vadera at 5. But I think there's not a lot of ways in which you can structure that 11. It has to be that way only, because there's a set that you have set number of batters, and their batting is doing decently, right? You back them to, do well and score 200 plus 220, and then try and look at bowling options who you feel are the most robust. Try and, bowl bowlers in their areas of strength. I think Akash Madhwal should be given the ball in the power play. He can do well. Giving the ball to Cameron Green in the power play, especially when there is a little bit of swing available, I think that's a very defensive move. You cannot be thinking about getting an over out of Cameron Green just because someone else has a bad day. If someone else has a bad day, you give them that over later on then. So I don't think their batting can be structured differently. It's just that they have to have bowling options. And I think, given how Jofra's been going, they will probably have to go back to Riley Meredith and play. I don't know, play. Riley Meredith. I'm not sure if they will play Jofra along with him, but if they play both of them, then they'll have to drop Tristan Stubbs, which means that. Which means that Tilak Verma will come back, and you'll have Nehal Vadera at 6, Tilak Verma at 5, and then you continue accordingly. How terrible RR would have been if they had got Harry Brooks spending 13 crores. Samson questioned it, but management gone. Well, I had said it on the day of the auctions that, the fact that Rajasthan Royals were even bidding for him absolutely made zero sense to begin with, because they already had players in the positions. Their top five four of their top five players were already settled, and I don't think they would have been managed to play him and fit him. If they would have gotten him, their season would have been even worse, because right now also they are struggling to, find out who's their 11th player is, because they have one player already who's batting out of position in Devdutt Padikkal, and they've not been able to figure out who's going to be their eighth batter or who's going to be their sixth bowler. So it would have been really gone. It would have been really bad for them, and it would have probably, affected them so much that they would have probably been in the bottom four instead of being top four. Shivam Katia is asking, hello, don't you think SRH messed up their chances by giving Harry Brook a long run? And what are your views? Should they use Phillips as an opener in remaining matches so that his true potential will be utilized? Uh, See, that's the thing. It's very difficult. Teams will obviously fall into the concept of cost sunk fallacy when you have a player who you've bid so much for. Uh, but yeah, it's just difficult, and I think that 100 that he scored in Kolkata against KKR made it even more difficult for them to drop Harry Brook. But I also feel that they again have not used him well. In that game versus KKR at Hyderabad, they could have easily held him back and promoted Klassen like how they promoted Klassen yesterday ahead of Aiden Markram, because Klassen's a better player of spin. And if that partner, because Harry Brook also got out, it put a lot of pressure on that pair. So if Klassen and Markram were batting together and they were, going well, then Harry Brook could have come in the last 5 overs, attacked pacers, and, just rotated strike against spin and done the job. Because KKR would have been anyway forced to, they wouldn't have been able to save overs of their spinners. And if they would have managed to, then they would have managed to. But you still have to give your best, your batters, not really best batters, but all of your players the best chance to succeed. And I don't think they've necessarily done that with Harry Brook either, or even with Abhishek Sharma in between, when they demoted him into the middle order. So yeah, their usage of their players again has not been the smartest, and that has hurt them. Should Phillips be used as an opener in remaining matches? I don't think that's the plan. I think they want to use him like how New Zealand were using him, because in the T20 World Cup he was batting in the middle order, and after yesterday's game I think they'll continue with him as a finisher, because they feel that he has the game against pace to hit in the last 5 overs. Who is a better captain, Samson or Pant? Last season, I would have said Samson definitely, because he also has more experience, because he was also captaining Kerala in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy in 2021 and then in 2022. But this season, I think this season Samson has been quite poor as a captain. Last season he was very good because his bowling changes in the last 5 overs, when he was, you know when he was defending a total and going into the last 5 overs, he was, bowling his better bowlers up front, so that there is far more margin of error for his weaker bowlers at the end, and that helped him. And he was setting plans with Prasidh Krishna how to bowl at the death. I just think that these close losses, because they've lost 3 games while batting second, with a margin of less than 10 runs, and they've lost 2 games in the last over with 17 runs to defend. So I just think the pressure of the losses has probably got to him, and that has maybe not maybe has not helped him think clearly. There's that. But yeah, very difficult to pick right now, because I also feel that Pant would have improved, because he was a better captain last year in 2022 than what he was in 2021. So I don't think at this point of time this comparison is fair, because we really don't know how much would have Pant improved. But yeah, it's disappointing to see Samson not build on his captaincy from the last season. How can CSK defeat GT in Chennai? So we have a CSK fan already who's thinking that they're probably, these two teams are playing each other in the qualifier one. Uh, I think you have to insert Gujarat Titans into bat first, and then try and limit them to a total which you can chase. And Chennai actually have that total, but it will not happen if one of Conway or Ruturaj get out early, because they are the two best batters in that Chennai lineup, and they are also those batters who play spin and pace both very well. So they'll have to ensure that one of Conway or Ruturaj bats through, and then everyone else around them keeps playing those cameos and does well. But it will be a task, because if anything, Gujarat can also bring in someone like a Sai Kishore when they play Chennai, and Sai Kishore being someone who has played for Tamil Nadu would know how the wicket works, behaves, and he's also a very good spinner. So it's not going to be easy. But yeah, the only way I see is that you insert Gujarat Titans in, who try and keep them to a score of 180, and then try and chase it, because I feel, and that's not going to be easy, because Gujarat's bowling is such that even if you don't get an above par total, they're very very capable of defending par total. So probably you'll have to put pressure on Shami, because attacking the likes of Noor and Rashid is not going to be easy. But yeah, so probably put pressure on Mohit Sharma, put pressure on Mohammad Shami, try and take runs off them. And then if Hardik bowls himself, try and takes runs off Hardik, because Hardik will bowl. So those are the overs that you need to target to put a good score against Chennai. And again, other thing is that Gujarat Titans don't really have a left-hander in that top five. So maybe in that game you could drop Tikshana and play Mitchell Santner, and in that middle overs or in the power play, bowl Jadeja, bowl Santner at their right-handers, and try and choke them and try and get wickets. So that is something that they can do. Exploit is asking, is it time for Rohit to retire from the IPL? See, retirement is a very personal thing. I will never say that a cricketer should retire or not. But what I say is that someone should be dropped, or should be left out. I do think that Rohit has had very very poor six and a half IPL seasons now, because after the 2016 season he's really not averaged more than 30 in a season. Strike rate, I think, only in one season has been above 130. So yeah, I think if Mumbai don't qualify again this season, it's going to be very difficult for it's going to put a lot of pressure on Rohit, and it's going to be very difficult for him to justify his place, because he's also taking 16 crores. He's taking a major chunk of their budget, and he's not getting any younger, so it will be difficult. But yeah, I think that decision will be between MI and Rohit. I don't think they'll drop him, but yeah, maybe if I was there, I would have done it, because I would have released him and then try to get him on from the auctions at a lower price, because I he's certainly not 16 crores worth at this point of time. And the same argument can be made. I've said this before as well. I said it during the auctions. I said it during the time of retentions. The same argument can also be made for MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli, even though they are performing much better, that they are probably not worth the amounts that they are taking from the purse. Yes, there's brand value and everything, but that amount really could be used better in terms of team construction for all these three teams. Vasant Narayan's asking, in slow and low pitches, we see teams like MI, RCB do struggle. How will they prepare for a bad pitch matchup, assuming they do well in all remaining matchups? Uh, I think MI can still manage when it's on a slow pitch because there's Surya Kumar Yadav, there's Tilak Verma, but I don't see how RCB can manage without Faf and Maxwell doing well because Kohli rarely struggles against spin. On slow pitches, those struggles are more elaborated, as was the case in Ekana and even in Delhi in the first innings because the pitch was holding up at that point of time. So there's that. So yeah, I don't see how teams will be able to how RCB will be able to manage. MI can still manage through Tilak Verma and Surya Kumar Yadav. M. Rajesh is asking, Paji, do you think LSG made a mistake by appointing Krunal as a skipper, considering Puran and Dekog in their team? He did not even complete Bishnoi 4 overs in the last match. Well, uh, no, even when KL was there, I wasn't very impressed with his captaincy, and I haven't been impressed with Lucknow's tactics throughout. Starting from that game in Chepauk versus Chennai, where they had two right-handers batting together with Chennai having Santner and Jadeja playing together, and then they also promoted Stoinis ahead of Puran in that game when Puran it should have been Puran because of the spin attack and the pitch. And they've continued to make such mistakes right throughout. Yesterday, they got in someone like a Swapnil Singh. They got in someone like a Swapnil Singh for a matchup option because Gujarat have five right-handed batters, but he only bowled one over. Kyle Myers bowled an over ahead of him. Bishnoi didn't bowl out like you mentioned, and Marcus Stoinis was bowling. So I'm not sure if those plans are from Krunal himself or from Gautam Gambhir, who seems to be running the side. Uh, and yeah, one of the reasons why they've not made De Kock the captain because so far De Kock was not even making the 11. And De Kock has also been a very reluctant captain. He didn't hold the South Africa captaincy for a long period of time. He stepped down. Similarly for Puran, I don't think Puran's a very smart or very good captain either because I was very disappointed with how he had captained in that World T20 in that in that first round. Where West Indies got knocked out after losing to Ireland and Scotland, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's fine if they stick with Krunal. Even if you have a good overseas captain, I always want an Indian captain to be there because if an Indian captain is doing poorly, at least he's not wasting one prestigious overseas spot, right? And if you make an overseas captain, he doesn't do well. If you want to drop him, that really affects the whole team structure a lot more than what an Indian captain would do. So that's my thoughts. Vidit Damele. Yes, I think if Chennai Super Kings had the squad which Lucknow Super Giants have, they would have probably lost only 2 to 3 games throughout the season. So they've been very poor tactically, no doubt about it. Would you say GT is luck team, like how out of form players like Miller and Vijay Shankar performing for them? Shubman Gill was released due to strike rate issue too. Tewatia was inconsistent too. Not really. I would have bought this luck argument in that last season because they actually won a lot of close games. But this season they have been very dominant. In fact, the games that they have lost have been very close. They could have easily been, 9 wins and 1 loss because uh, Rinku Singh scoring those 31 runs doesn't happen, every day. So they would have certainly on any other day they would have won that game. Against Delhi, they couldn't chase 130 again. Had it not been for Miller's brain fade or Hardik not being able to connect, they would have won that game. So they've been far more dominant this season than what they were last time. They're very much on course to do what MI did in 2020, where they won in 2019 and then defended that title, and they were even stronger in 2020. So I wouldn't really say that out of and Vijay Shankar is doing well against pace. It was always his strength. I think he's been bagged and he's performed there. Shubman Gill being released on the issue of strike rate was a very poor call to begin with because when he was released he was only 21. He was always going to develop. There was obviously a lot of class in him. And when they played that second half in 2021 on slow pitches in Sharjah, he showed why he has a lot of quality and why he's a league above all their other batters. And he was their only batter who was good against pace bowling, and they released him. So that was a mistake by KKR. And Tewatia, yes, was inconsistent. I just think Tewatia has worked very hard on his batting and on his premeditation, that he just knows what bowlers are going to bowl, and he has his shots ready. So we'll probably need to ask what has happened in that GT setup for him to do that well. But I won't say that they are a luck team. They have the best bowling attack that I have ever seen a T20 team assemble. You look at their options, it's just too good. So they can still do better by probably having one left-hander, because Tewatia is not facing a lot of balls. Maybe they could promote him at number 3 or number 4 to break that monotony of right-handed batters. That is not something they're looking to do. But yeah, this time they actually look stronger than what they were last season. Mahesh Babu saying captaincy is more of common sense rather than doing something extraordinary. 100%. It's about playing the percentages. If you lose while playing the percentages, you lose. You can't do much about it, because you were either outskilled or your team did not have enough quality to begin with. But not doing what is percentage cricket, like Lucknow sending someone like Deepak Hooda yesterday in a chase of 228, when they knew that for them to have any chance of chasing it down, Myers, Quinton de Kock, Stoinis, and Pooran had to bat the most overs, and they sent in Deepak Hooda. That is what killed the chase completely. I won't blame him. So, yes, I completely agree with you, Mahesh Babu. There, that's about doing the most common thing. But yeah, common sense is not so common, and we have seen this in this IPL far too often. Whom should India play in WTC final, Ishan or Bharat? Cause Bharat is not playing regularly and team can. No, for me, KS Bharat plays. I wouldn't really trust Ishan Kishan in those conditions in England. KS Bharat was around last time as well when they played that one-off test, and he scored a good 60 in the warm-up game. So I'll have KS Bharat. Can RR qualify because their upcoming matches are with KKR, RCB, and PBKS? KKR, I think they're playing away from home, if I'm not wrong. Just let me know, Akshat, where they're playing. I think they're playing Punjab certainly away from home in Dharamshala. That is one game where their batting can really explode. I think they're playing RCB at Jaipur. Again, that is one fixture that they should win, because I do feel they have better spinners and they can really put a choke on RCB through their spin bowling attack. I'm just trying to recall where they're playing KKR. I think they are playing KKR at Eden, but I just want to be sure. Uh, just let me check. Just give me a moment, guys. Just stay with me. Just let me check this, please. Yeah, they play KKR at Eden, but they'll have to. The good thing is their net run rate is still in the positive. So if they win, they can qualify. But I don't think now they can reach the top two. And at one stage they were in contention for reaching top two when they had beaten Chennai twice in the season. So their losses will definitely hurt them. Uruj Pasha is asking, what's your views on Nitish Rana's captaincy? He's looked a very natural leader. I think as a captain, he can still grow, become more tactically astute. But he's looked natural as a leader. I liked how he captained KKR in Delhi in that game at Kotla versus DC, where the ball was just, not reaching the batter. He bowled himself. He bowled 4 overs of Anukul Roy. Any other batter would have probably bowled his pacers first rather than bowling his own overs. So, yeah, I've liked him so far, but I think he can be better. Akshit's asking, do you think teams with 14 points can qualify this year as 16 are needed? No, I don't think you're qualifying with 14 this time. Uh, I think that with 17 you might reach the top two, but I don't think anything less than 16 you're qualifying. Maybe you might miss out on 15 as well. Is Bishnoi a googly bowler? His leg spin are not effective. That's why he's expensive. No, he's expensive because he's floating and bowling full, which he shouldn't, because his natural trajectory is bowling flat and quick. But yes, he's predominantly a googly bowler rather than a leg spin bowler. As a captain, what are key points to note? Why planning in a two pitch like Wankhede and Chepok? And can a team reject squad in such situations? See, one is obviously you need to understand that how the pitch will behave, right? And then if you have the quality in that squad, make your changes in the 11 according to it. But I don't think that teams always have that quality in that squad to make those changes. So that is, these are the few pointers. But see, it's basic. If you are playing in 1KD and if you have someone who can bowl 140 plus, extract extra bounce, play him. If you are playing in Chepok, try and go with three spinners, all three of different kind and variety, and try and choke the opposition with it. I felt that at Chepok, Mumbai could have easily played someone like Dewald Brevis in place of Cameron Green because of how the pitch was, but they were never going to do that given how Cameron Green's been doing decently with the bat. But yeah, I think sometimes captains also need to be a little more imaginative and not go by the template, and look to take a few risks which are backed by cricketing logic and not really by gut, because sometimes I think a lot of instinctive calls have not worked for captains this season, and it's probably because they've not really thought about it carefully and deeply. What has gone wrong with Avesh Khan? I think he's lost pace. He's lost pace by a margin of around 5 kilometers per hour, and he's still bowling those lengths which he used to bowl earlier in that 2021 IPL at which he could bowl at 140 plus pace, because uh, the margin of error as a bowler also increases, and it also decreases at the same time if your pace increases, because a top edge can really fly for a six rather than finding the fielder. But at the same time, uh, if you are bowling, if you are attempting a Yorker and you miss and you bowl in the slot, the batter also doesn't have as much time to connect that ball. So uh, now what is happening is Avesh Khan, while his pace has gone down, he's still bowling those short of length deliveries, and he's bowling to the wrong batters as well, who are not going to be troubled with that pace and that length. So he really needs to work on his game awareness and probably try and increase his pace if he could. Sharda M is asking, will there be a stream for today's match? Sorry, ma'am, not today, but we will be doing a review, but we will not have a watch along. Adhya in singles asking, Paji, why is Rahane in the WTC final? There are players like Sarfaraz Khan and Iswaran, but have not got a single chance. So either we don't trust our domestic systems or players are not picked on merit. The answer is in your question. Because these players did not get a chance when the opportunity presented itself, the team had no other option but to go back to Ajinkya Rahane. And it's not the first time they've gone back to players. They went back to Shami for the T20 World Cup. They went back to Chiteshwar Pujara for that one odd test in England last year. And I won't be surprised if they go back to a few players ahead of the World Cup later this year. But I will name those players at an opportune time and not right now, because I don't want to take the thrill away. But yeah, it's something which this management has been guilty of, and I do think they deserve criticism for it. Okay, Adhyan actually sent this question 6 or 7 times. Uh, can RR trade DDP for Shardul, since both need that position to fill? Uh, I don't think at this point of time Devdutt Padikal's stocks are very very high, because he's struggling to play spin as well. Uh, and Shardul, someone who's very expensive with the ball. I think if Shardul really has to become a hot commodity in T20s, he has to work on his batting a lot more, that so that he can become a number six or a number seven batter. If not a number six, at least a number seven batter, because I don't think he's as reliable as Rashid Khan at number eight. And if you are going, and he's not a four overs bowler either, so on his, like, on a lot of days he goes for runs. So Shardul, I don't think it's the best trade, to be very honest. Adhyan, man, how many times have you asked the same question? uh, Pranav Anand's asking, can you tell me why Samson has never been in the reckoning for test match wicketkeeper batter? I never thought him as a test match player, but seeing Ishan in the team, surely Samson can't be worse. Records are similar too. I think Ishan only came in the team because they wanted a left-hander, because The likes of Akshay Wadekar and Upendra Yadav have been doing better in the domestic system. And the reason why Samson was not being considered is because of his low first class average, which also has a bit to do with the home conditions that he plays in. But you are right, he cannot be worse than Ishan Kishan. I agree with that. This is a good question. Why Bishnoi struggles to bowl leg spin? I've not looked at it closely, but I think it has a lot to do with how his action is and how his wrist is shaping up at the point of delivery. Because he has his head goes sideways, and he also has a more round armish action rather than coming straight, because he comes from this angle. I think to bowl a leg spinner from this angle is very difficult. So he actually tries to bowl the googly a lot more. But I'll study this a lot more, and I'll try and answer it next time. I've just given the answer which came from the top of my head. Looking at more questions. Also, guys, one small request: if you've been enjoying the show, please press the like button. And if you're here for the first time, do subscribe to the channel. And you can also tell your friends about this show that I do, and ask them to join in and ask their own questions if you are satisfied about the stuff that say about the game of the cricket. And yes, there's always a lot of content on cricket.com which is coming up. There are the watch alongs, there are the match reviews. We'll also be doing I think Friday we'll be doing that, wherein we discuss who have been the best impact players, not necessarily who come in and subs, but who have been the most impactful for their teams. So that is something that we'll do on Friday. So please do join us for that also. And yeah, stay tuned for all cricket related content. You can download our app. You can subscribe us to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's also our social media handles on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So please do follow them as well. Vidit Damle says if RCB do not improve their middle overs bowling, it will be difficult for them to win against Chennai. Also, thoughts on Faf as captain? Yes, it will be difficult for them to win. Faf as captain is something I'm very neutral to it. I don't think he's the greatest tactician, and I don't think he's the worst either. One thing that I've not liked about his captaincy is sometimes he's looked for too many excuses. He was doing it while he was the captain of South Africa. He did it last season in the first game when Anuj Rawat had dropped that catch. Completely forgetting the fact that he'd also taken a brilliant catch of Liam Livingston. So I think if as a captain you are pointing out youngsters, or throwing youngsters under the bus, or just pointing out at one lost opportunity, I don't think you have assessed the whole thing very clearly or in a better manner. And yeah, some of the usage by RCB also hasn't been great. I don't understand why Anuj Rawat is still there in the 11 despite regular failures. I think on a few occasions they could have bowled Shahbaz Ahmed a lot more, but they're not doing that. So I think Faf is as good or as bad as any average captain out there. To be very honest, he's not the worst, but he's not the best either. And yes, if I had the opportunity, I would not make I would not make an overseas captain. But yeah, my initial thoughts at this point of time, you guys might laugh at me, but last year I felt that if Kohli is not going to take up captaincy, they could give it to DK, who's experienced. Because I feel like, again, why I say that is because if an overseas batter is struggling, right, then you get really in a mess and you really don't know how to replace him. Luckily for them, Faf has become better with age. He's aged like fine wine. I mean, he's actually worked on his game against spin bowling in the last 2 years. At the age of 37, which is very rare to see. So I think they struck gold with him. But yeah, I had my reservations. But credit to Faf for doing as well as he's done. I don't think anyone would have expected him to do as well as he's done. Shoaib Mohammed saying Paji visit Tamil Nadu to someday. Yes, hopefully someday. Punjab with four consecutive scores in excess of 200. What do you think is the main concern? You Are you saying that they've conceded four games with score of 200? Let me recall. There's the game versus two games versus Mumbai, one game versus Lucknow, and which other? Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think usage of their bowling resources. I don't think Shikhar Dhawan has managed his bowling resources well as he could have. That is one I thought he like, and I mentioned this earlier at the beginning of the show as well. He follows a template of his captaincy. He will keep his pacers like Arshdeep, Sam Curran, and Rabada or Ellis for the death without realizing that the bowlers are already being hit for runs in the middle over. So you might as well bring back them and try and restrict the opposition in the middle overs, get wickets, because it makes no sense to save your bowlers for the death when in the middle overs you are being hit for 11 runs per over. So that is one. I think the other thing is that their spinners have not gotten a lot of wickets. Rahul Chahar has only picked up 4 wickets, and he's bowled well, but he's not been able to pick wickets. So I think these are the two main reasons. Akshit Dhadij is completely taking, completely making jokes about this. Are we going to go back to Mohit Sharma in this ODI World Cup? Let's hope not. Let's hope not, because Shami and Siraj have been very good. Let's just hope that we finalize on a third pacer and bag that pacer. Not going to go back to Rohit Sharma. Wood, with whatever I have seen, has exceptional control with that pace across format and just so well on different surfaces. Is Imran's issue cause of less matches? Yes, it is down to inexperience, because Umran, when he played for when Umran, before he actually played for Jammu and Kashmir in the Ranji Trophy, was actually playing uh, India A after the IPL. So Imran has to play a lot more games. The problem is that someone like Umran can't really improve with bowling at the Ranji surface, because his pace is such a huge differential that even if he doesn't bowl well, he will still get wickets. So he's someone who has to bowl a lot more and become better at his control. And it's not that he hasn't improved his control. I think he still has, but he still needs to get consistent opportunities and chances, and also has to use his brain a little more, because again, I thought in that over where Nitish Rana smashed him for 24 runs, he knew that every ball is going to come as a bouncer. Bouncer works if it comes as a surprise, not when it is telegraphed and the batter knows that it's the only ball that is going to be bowled. So yeah, a few things he can improve upon, and he's still a very good talent. Just hope that he gets backing, and is allowed to bowl a lot more in matches, because that is the only way he's going to become better. Do you think CSK will qualify? Yes, I think they will finish in the top two. They have two games versus Delhi. Why are you worried? Two games versus Delhi. They should win both of them, because even the pitch at Kotla is going to help them. Shardul versus Rashid as a batter. Who's better? It's not even a debate. Rashid Khan's better, definitely, especially in shorter formats. Why do you think at least for first 2 3 seasons they should have allowed a OS player as an impact player to, irrespective of how many are in the 11? It allows for the intended result, that is more quality. Uh, Maybe they could have, but then Indian players who are on the fringe wouldn't have gotten chances. So it's a double-edged sword. I believe if you want to give chances to Indian players, then you have to, you know, compromise on that front. Who is best death bowler in this IPL? I would say Natarajan. I have to look at the numbers, but I feel even Natarajan has done well. Yes, I'm trying to recall and think who's been very consistent, because Arshdeep hasn't been consistent, which is surprising. Sandeep Sharma went for runs, but so has Natarajan gone for runs in a few games. But yeah, Sandeep Sharma, Arshdeep Singh, Natarajan, they've been there and thereabouts. But yeah, Patirana has been good. Patirana has actually been good. But I think it's also somewhere due to his action. And once team start to figure out his action, it would actually be interesting to see how he accommodates and adjusts then. So yeah, Patirana, I'd say he's been the best death bowler so far in this IPL. What is the thing with injuries in the past 3 years? Other than Kohli, every player has been struggling with some or the other injury. Kohli also has a history of back spasm, but has managed it well. I don't know. This is something for someone from the NCA to answer. I really don't know. I also can speculate. Probably workload has had to do with it, but I really can't say. Why don't they make DK do the same role as Saha? And since they are worried about losing top, maybe try. See, Kohli as a finisher or as a pace hitter at the depth is an idea which I have been propagating for the last 2 years. But I think now that ship has sailed, it's not going to happen. I remember tweeting it even during the Asia Cup that he should be batting as a finisher even when India were not playing Dinesh Karthik. That you should try out that with him, but I don't think that is going to happen. I like the idea on paper and I think it could work, but I don't think RCB or any other team is going to try that. I think now this is reading too much into stuff that we really can't, uh, say anything confidently about. Do you think selectors will go with Yashasvi as a number four batter for the World Cup? As no, uh, yeah, no, not really. RR have always been good in terms of scouting. They've done a really good job with scouting even before. So yeah, not surprised that a lot of their young players have done well. See, they're unable to figure out the third and the fourth fast bowlers because a lot of them are getting injured. Bumrah's injured. They gave us the a couple of games, and then they also want to have that third pacer who can bat because spinners can't bat. So they are oscillating between Shardul Thakur and Umran Malik. I think on flat pitches they need to play Umran Malik for the middle overs, and on pitches which have a little bit of help or where batting's a little difficult, you could play Shardul Thakur because then he adds value with the bat. I think that is how they'll have to go with it. Now Unadkat is also injured because Unadkat was drafted into the squad. So Prasidh Krishna has been injured. So a lot of injuries have also not helped, to be very honest. Okay, sports buddies, making himself heard by saying Shubman should play in the middle order in test. Okay. What's special about Shami bowling in Ahmedabad during evening matches? He's unplayable. I just think that when he knows that when he has the conditions where he can swing or seam the ball, he just knows how to do it. And yeah, in Ahmedabad the ball can seam and swing both, and he extracts it to perfection. Should Ishan Sharma be back in Test? I expected this question to come today. I expected this question to come in circle on Twitter as well. Uh, See, bowling 4 overs and bowling 15 to 20 overs in a day is not the same thing. The good thing is he's looked in much better rhythm than what he was when he was dropped. His pace also seems to be up. But if we are going to bring him back into Test matches, I'd really want him to bowl a lot more overs than just 4 overs in the IPL. I'll say that I don't have an issue over his ability. I don't have doubts over that because I do think India actually miss a bowler like him because the likes of Siraj also sometimes can get emotional and lose his head. Shardul's expensive sometimes. So is Umesh, and these guys can be wavered if things are not working for them. But Shant is never wavered. He may not pick wickets, but he also doesn't leak runs. So I understand the value which an Ishan Sharma brings to the 11 or the Test squad, but have to bowl a lot more than just 4 overs, my friend. Uh, Only someone at NCA can tell. Anyway, guys, I've been talking for now 55 minutes. It's been long, but it was great to be back on the show. We've been doing the show after a month purely because of the IPL. There was no space to do it, and I was also busy in doing the watch alongs and all the other videos that are there. If you enjoyed it, please do like the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And do share this video and this episode with a lot of your friends who you think are cricket fanatics, and just ask them to subscribe to cricket.com because there's always a lot of cricket content that is there. Follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook because there's always something or the other that we are trying to dig up for our viewers, whether it is in terms of articles or statistical numbers or trivia, or doing shows like these. So please send us please shower your love through the subscriptions and the and by becoming followers, and we'd try to do our best in terms of giving you the best possible content that is there. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for tuning in. And on just one last question, a comment rather. uh, R. Ashwin might make a comeback in ODI World Cup XG. He could, because if Washington Sundar's injured, which other off spinner do you have? And he's doing well in this IPL once again. So he's someone who manages to stay relevant all the time. And there's one other cricketer I think who can make it back to the squad, but that's for later. Thank you so much, guys, for today. I hope you enjoyed, and please do subscribe to cricket.com. Thank you so much. Bye bye.